Hello and welcome to Lankwitz. You're watching a new episode of my series Berlin's 96 Localities, where I portray all of Berlin's localities. The order is quite random and I picked Lankwitz for today because I talked to a friend recently and she told me that she used to live there. I also read that Lankwitz is actually the oldest of all the 96 localities in a certain way, and I'm gonna explain this a little later. Before I go into detail what's up for today, let's take a look at the map. Lankwitz is to the south of Berlin center. The linear distance to Berlin Central is approximately 10 kilometers. Lankwitz has a population of a bit more than 40,000 and belongs to the district of Steglitz-Zehlendorf. In the north, the border is defined by the Teltow Canal and in the east by a railway line. In the south and the west, there is no such artificial border to the neighboring localities, though. It is remarkable that despite its size and population, Lankwitz possesses only one railway station. From S. Lankwitz you can reach S. Friedrichstrasse in about 19 minutes. Lankwitz consists majorly of residential buildings, but one of the landmarks is the Gemini Park. So I hope you got a little bit of orientation now. A brief overview on what you can expect today. Well, there is a composer's quarter nearby and I've read that it should be quite nice over there, so I think let's check it out. Then Lankwitz is very old, so I hope we can find some traces of the origins. And the third thing is, a friend of mine gave me an address and he told me to visit this address. I don't know what to expect, so I think let's find out what's over there. Let's go. Okay, so I've reached Brucknerstrasse. It's really grey and rainy, but that means that I've also reached the composer's quarter. It's really nearby the S-Bahnhof Lankwitz. And you have those beautiful leaves over there. It's fall right now. And you also have an interesting church building of the Kirche Jesu Christi der Heiligen der letzten Tage. Yeah, very complicated name. This is the corner of Brucknerstrasse and Cornelius Strasse, and you can see that the houses are, well, quite big. And I don't know if Cornelius was a composer. Some of these road signs, they usually have a little extra feature that tells you something about the person that it's named after, but unfortunately not in this case. Also not over there or over there. So I guess I need to check the next corner. Maybe I can find out a little more about Mr. or Mrs. Cornelius. So yeah, I've reached the next corner, but unfortunately no information on both sides. This is already a bigger road. I think that Leonore, that might refer to a character of Wagner, one of his operas, but I'm really not sure. So yeah, I will go back into the opposite direction. So I am reaching the end of Cornelius Strasse, and you can see that again there is no information. So I won't find out who Mr. or Mrs. Cornelius was. You might wonder why I didn't check the internet on my phone. Well, I didn't want to spoil the fun. I looked it up for you guys though. It's Mr. Peter Cornelius. He was indeed a composer in the 19th century. Despite the poor weather conditions, I think I got a good impression of the composer's quarter, and I hope that it's also visible in the footage. And then there was a special building that I really needed to show you. I am right in front of an embassy. There are quite a few embassies here in Berlin, because it's the capital. And I want to make a short quiz for you, because there is no sign here about the nationality, about the country, but there is a flag. and I don't know if you can see it right now. If not, I will add a digital version. Just test yourself. Do you know what country this is? And I think I will give the answer a little later. My tour continued southwards, pretty close to the localities border. I crossed a large street with some supermarkets and reached another quite quiet residential area. I am at Kurfürstenstrasse, not to be confused with the infamous Kurfürstenstrasse in the center. Well, you can still see old buildings, a bit smaller. In between we also have some new ones. But as I've been walking now for, I don't know, 1.5 kilometers maybe, and not much has changed, I think that this characterizes Lankwitz very well. It's all residential. You have some churches in between, you have a few embassies. Yeah, but it's made for quiet housing. So there's this little corner here, and that's quite interesting because that seems to be an abandoned place, maybe, I don't know. And these spots have become really rare in Berlin. So when I was here for the first time many years ago, you would see them everywhere, but now, well, this is probably a residential building in the background, still in use. But this one here is quite funny, and I don't know, I mean, what did they do here? Did they like sell something? Like, was it a little kiosk, or did they check people for whatever reason? The funny thing is, this is not really for tall people. I think they could get hurt. And there's a bus stop over here, Eiswaldstraße, and this bus stop here features something which I have never seen before. It has a digital display to show you the time of the next bus. And that's quite interesting because it must have been established not too long ago. Also, now you have advice to take a mask on the bus. So yeah, this is something new, and that's quite interesting. I mentioned at the beginning that a friend of mine sent me on sort of a mission. He wanted me to visit a certain address, and well, I mean, why not? I don't know what it is. I think it has to do something with education, and I'm gonna take a photo for him in case I find the number. Oh yeah, there it is, 116, and here we are. So my friend, in case you see this, whatever it is, 116, I was here, I checked it for you, it's still there. Yeah, there's no need for me to make a further stop over here. Let's continue the tour, guys. So I mentioned the Gemini Park, and although the weather was not too great, I took some footage for you and give you a few impressions of that actually quite lovely park. I've made it just in time to the final stop for today. I've reached the Dorfanger, so the historic core of the village Lankwitz that was already mentioned in the 12th century. And this is what I meant when I said that it is the oldest part of Berlin. So the village at that time was mentioned, and it became part of today's Berlin in 1920. That means that it is sort of the origin of Berlin, but, well, from a certain perspective. What you can see behind me is what I've showed you in several other episodes, that there are roads passing by on both sides of the Dorfanger, and in this direction you have the church, or, well, it's a reconstruction of the original church because the original church was destroyed. What was also destroyed was a large amount of the locality, unfortunately, during the Second World War. I've read that there was a huge air raid in, I think, 1943. And I'm surprised myself to see still a bunch of old buildings, and you were my witness today on this tour. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope I will see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. Leave a comment or subscribe to the channel, and see you soon. Take care.